Thanks very much. It's a great honour to be here tonight to do the Immortal Memory. And so, Immortal Memory, burn suppers are held every year, and actually, rubbish start. I'll start again. Immortal Memory is something that's given to someone on their birthday or their death every year, and there's only two that are given in the UK: Lord Nelson and Robert Burns. But because we're in Scotland, we'll ignore him. And I'm going to lead off with some key facts. So I'm not really I can't live up to the poetry and recitals. So I'm going to really more go from the influence that Robert Burns has had. And so I did a lot of research and I found out a few things. So 25th of January 1759, he was born in Alloway in Ayrshire. And so typical Burns supper would be on the 25th of January, and I've got a few other points here, just some key facts just to kick us off. First one was held just 5 years after his death. He died at the tender age of 37 of endocarditis. The first 10 though were held on the wrong day. They were held on the 29th because his biographer put the wrong birthday, but subsequently they got it back to the right date and they continued on. It's the only example in the world of a National Poets' Day, and it's more upheld than St Andrew's Day. His influence has been massive. Scots Wahé was considered the unofficial national anthem for many years, and the Scottish Parliament was actually open to a man's a man for all that, because he was very keen on equality and rights for people. And I found out a few other facts. He's the third person to have the most busts after them, or statues made behind Queen Victoria and Christopher Columbus. He's the person with the most stamps in the UK. You'll find no one else other than the royal family have had more stamps about them than him. More notes, so you find them on your £10 note from Clydesdale Bank and the £2 coin. And there's just a raft of things, and I'll allude to one or two of the impact that this guy's had, and absolutely stunning for someone who died at the age of 37 without really having travelled that far. I did a bit of research. I got a book, and I'm not making this up. In the book that I got, it had kind of 4 distinct types of presentation. So I do 4 distinct types of presentation, depending on how good the audience's knowledge is on Burns and the speaker's ability, and from novice up to orator, general to expert. And so I reckon, well, you're smart guys, and I'll do my best to be a good speaker, so I'm going to aim for pen. Right? And I'm genuinely not making this up, it's in the book. Right? And so it's a particular honour for me to be doing this, because my mum and dad are English. It's been a steep learning curve for me as well. Friend Phil. So I looked up on the internet for some Burns quotes, and the first one I found that I really liked was, I'll keep it short and sweet: family, religion, friendship. These are the 3 demons you must slay if you want to succeed in business. Unfortunately, it turns out it was Mr. Burns from Internet's only as good as what you type into it. So I then kind of realised I was probably aiming a little bit high. But I then typed in Robert Burns quotes, and I found a couple that I thought related to us, as we found out from Angus. The bicycle hadn't actually been invented by then, but it doesn't matter for the purposes of this. Graham, I think he had his own Rule 5, and firmness and enduring and exertion is a character I always wish to possess. And you know which rule I'm talking about. And I think all of us that head out on a cold Saturday morning and do lots of miles in sort of miserable weather kind of completely understand that quote. And although my next quote is not exactly talking about cycling, again, I think we can all get that. And I think we all know where those parts that remain shall remain nameless. I'll read it out for those at the back. Some injuries in a part that shall be nameless, owing to a hard-hearted stone of a saddle. Obviously not Brooks. Okay? The amount of work that he did in the time that he was alive was stunning. So it comprises around about 600 songs written in English and Lowland Scots. And but he wasn't really a musician, so other people put his works to music, and I'll cover that a little bit. And if you look on Amazon, there's around about 2,600 books on Burns alone. And a man walks into a library and goes up to the counter and says, Robert Burns, the complete works, please. And the librarian goes, Mr. Burns, this is a library, the massage parlour is next door. Aim low and you'll always succeed. So, as I said, some people set Burns's works to music, and I was really surprised to find out that Beethoven actually set some of Burns' works to music. And he did some Irish folk songs, including a number of Burns songs. As did Haydn, he put some of Burns' songs to music as well. And I think I also found out that Bob Dylan quoted one of Burns' songs as his biggest cultural influence on him, which I thought incredibly amazing. I've actually got one of the Burns tunes on my iPod as well by Beethoven, and it's a lovely piece of work. He also influenced not only musicians, but he also influenced novelists. And so there's a couple of famous novels. This is one of Burns's works, Coming Through the Rye. And if you look at that bit there, you see he actually influenced the title of Salinger's A Catcher in the Rye. That comes from a Burns poem, which really surprised me as well, when a gin a body meet a body coming through the rye. And then the other one, which I quite liked, was, you can probably guess what the novel is, Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. He was going to call it Something Happened, but then I think he read To a Mouse and decided that was just a fantastic line, and I'm sure you've all heard it quoted many times. And so his influence in America is massive, as I'm sure Louise knows when she goes over and has Americans over here. They absolutely love him. And also he was the first person ever, Burns was the first person ever to have his picture on a bottle of Coca-Cola, commemorative bottle in 2009 for the 250th anniversary. He was a man of, well, he did many things. He's a bit of an enigma. He had 12 or 13 children, depending on which biography you read, with 4 or 5 different women. And he also, as well as having many women, he also had many names. And I quite like this. These are a list of some of the names that he has used. I love that one, Rantin' Rovin' Robin. You can imagine how fooey he must have been the night that he wrote a letter that had that. His spelling was bizarre at points, and I've no idea where he used Sylvander or what that relates to, but he did actually use that as well. But what's interesting, and then you can get back to people who are annoying you when you find out that he never used Rabbi or Robbie. So if someone's been really smart and annoying you, he never signed that, so you can like just kind of, actually, you think you'll find perfect, right? If you then go to some of his kind of famous works, Tam O'Shanter is rated as one of the best poems in the world. I know some people think that it's not one of his best, but it's rated as one of the best poems in the world. And it's a lovely story. And it tells the tale of Tam, who was out drinking in a wild storm on his trusty horse Meg. And he's on the way home, and it's blowing a gale, and he's passing all these scary places. And he hears some music in a hollow. He goes and has a look, and there's some people playing music, and it's the devil and some witches. And one of the witches is wearing this short shirt, which is a cutty sark, cutty short and sarkish shirt. And he's a bit foo, he can't help himself, and he shouts out, "Well done, cutty sark." The witches turn round and then start chasing after him. And he knows, he's smart enough to know, not so drunk, but he's smart enough to know that if he crosses water, the witches can't do it, can't actually go across. So he's jeering Meg along. But the one in the back with the cutty sark, Nanny, just manages to grab the horse's tail and pull it off just before he gets over the water. And for those of you that don't know, I didn't know this when I did research this, but the ship Cutty Sark, that's Nanny in her Cutty Sark holding onto Meg's tail. Which, and I'd taken this photograph actually on a holiday in London before I went, and I never knew that, and I just found that really stunning. So quite liked it. I kind of found out this out actually just this week, that Robert Burns very nearly moved to Jamaica. He had a ticket booked on a ship called Nancy in 1787, I think it was, due to set sail in August. And he had a job lined up in Jamaica, and a 3-year job in Jamaica. He was set to go, and then he fell in love with another woman, not his wife, another woman, and decided that he'd try and get her. So he was persuaded to put out his book, later known as the Command Edition, to earn enough money to get her ticket to go with him. And what happened was that he put the book out. It sold really well, and that really surprised him. It sold 612 copies in such a short space of time. And there was some bad weather. The ship was delayed, and it wasn't supposed to sail then until September. And then I think he had twins born to him on the 3rd of September. The ship was due to sail on the 5th of September, and he decided not to go. And can you imagine Scotland without Burns if he'd gone to Jamaica? And it made me think of what would have meant. So I just wondered what his work might have been like. And apologies if you can guess what's coming out. So, you know, obviously Two a Mouse is one of his famous ones. I just thought, well, if he went to Jamaica and he'd been there, well, if we'd have come up with IB, I just thought that would have been fantastic. And then I thought, actually, no, I think it's probably just as well he stayed. And he's actually no stranger to these parts as well. He didn't go over, he stayed, and he travelled around Scotland. He stayed in Falkirk. If you go up the bandstand in Falkirk High Street and you're heading west, I think it is, you'll see just above you on one of the old hotels there that he slept there on August 25th in 1787. He also visited Linlithgow. He was actually made a free man of Linlithgow in 1787. If you look at Linlithgow's website, you'll find out that it kind of rather nicely says he was not overly complimentary about it. He did say one or two things that I decided not to say in public, because there's children here, about Linlithgow, but he was made a free man of Linlithgow, but it's nothing compared to what he thought of. Nothing compared to what I thought of Bo'ness. He genuinely said that about Bo'ness, that dirty, ugly place burst, and so apologies to anyone from Bo'ness. I'm sure it's changed for the better. He was also a bit of a graffiti artist. That's not one of his works, but he went to Clarion Works and tried to get in on a Sunday, and he ended up, it was closed, they wouldn't let him in because it was open Monday to Saturday, and so he ended up scratching a poem onto the glass, and I think that still exists, and he did it in a couple of other places as well. And William Benson, the person who was in charge, also wrote a reply back to him as well, which was really quite interesting. Basically, Burns was a bit miffed because he travelled all that way and couldn't get in, and the person in charge of Clarion Works basically wrote another poem that just said, "You should be in church on Sunday." I thought it was a fantastic little to and fro between them. Well, I should say before we just, because I think we might do Old Lang Syne at the end. My wife told me, corrects me all the time, it's Old Lang Syne, not Old Lang Syne. And she keeps also saying when you cross your hands and stuff, and I'm sure we'll be directed. And for some of the people who watch TV programmes set in England, there's no for the sake of as well. It's just for Old Lang Syne. But it's just such a stunning poem. And I love the way, I take it everyone's seen When Harry Met Sally here. I love it then when they get together. And basically, Harry's always one for just saying stuff at an inopportune moment. He just wants to fill void with whatever comes to his mind at the time. So they're just about to kiss and that song comes on. And then he comes up with this, which I absolutely love. I never really fully understood what that song meant. I mean, should old acquaintances be forgot? Does that mean that we should forget old acquaintances? Or does it mean if we happen to forget them, we should remember them, which is not possible because we've already forgotten them? I just think that's a brilliant line. And of course, it doesn't mean that. It means that you should think and look back fondly on the memories that you've had with people over time, lift a glass to them and drink to their health and remember them. And it's with that in mind that I would like you all to raise a glass and join with me and a toast to Robert Burns. Robert Burns.